All right. There's something wrong about a man who never smiles, whose conversation never varies from the routine of the job, and who won't talk about his background.
I see.
Spock, I mean that it's odd for a non-Vulcan. The ears make all of the difference.
I find your arguments strewn with gaping defects in logic.
Welcome to today's Hit It and Quit It from Focus Consulting Group. I'm Keith Robinson. I will be your host today. And today we're going to explore the topic of other people's drama. And we're going to do this through the lens of theater and film and television. Because where else to explore drama than in drama? So how is it that you can avoid getting caught up into somebody else's drama? Because we all suffer from this ill. And recognize that just like these masks that you see in front of you, other people's drama is really interesting. Because frankly, theater, film, and television wouldn't exist without drama. But it was interesting in that last clip, what you saw there was Spock not getting caught up in Dr. McCoy's drama. Well, how does he do it? Well, of course, Spock is very different from the rest of us. And I'm not suggesting that we all want to be Spock, because there is a role for empathy in working with our colleagues. The key is, how do we still use empathy, which is feeling what other people feel, but not getting caught up in their drama and just letting their drama be their drama? Well, let's first start by exploring how this happens. How do we get caught up in other people's drama? How is it that people suck us in and then we wind up commiserating and being in the same place that they are? Well, first we have to explore the triggers. So there are certain triggers that we all have. There are certain fears that we all have that get us caught into other people's drama. And the way to first understand those fears is to recognize when they're happening to us. So there are three main fears that we want to be thinking about. And the first one is a loss of security. So Paul Blart, our security monitor, our security guard at the mall, right? Talk about drama. Well, a loss of security can capture us and pull us into the other person's drama. They may feel like they're losing security. They may feel like they're losing their job, or that their bonus may be cut, or who knows what else. But that loss of security can trigger us as well. That thought may never even entered our mind, that there might be some reason that we would feel insecure. And yet, the minute someone proposes it to us, we can get triggered as well. Sort of commiserate with them around loss of security. So recognize one way we get pulled into other people's drama is we may feel, that would be the empathy part, the same loss of security that they feel, when in fact, that was their story and that was their ego running amok. So loss of security, the first trigger that we want to be mindful of that pulls us into other people's drama. Well, for those of you who are movie buffs, these two gentlemen should look familiar to you. This is Siskel and Ebert. And what is their job? Their job is all about approval. Thumbs up, thumbs down, or somewhere in between. Siskel and Ebert would analyze the drama within a movie, the comedy within a movie, and they would let us know. Well, therein lies the second trigger. Did I lose a sense of approval? And there are certain of us who approval really, really matters to us. Some, by the way, some people that doesn't matter as much. And so what we may find is when somebody is feeling a loss of approval, we can get caught in their drama as well. So just like loss of security, loss of approval can trigger us to go to their dramatic place, right? So we want to be mindful of that. The other person may feel like, oh, so-and-so doesn't like me, or so-and-so doesn't approve of me. The boss doesn't approve of me. And that's a story. Could be a fact, by the way, but it's likely a story, and we can actually get drawn in. Yeah, they don't like me either. And then what happens? Gossip happens. Because, by the way, there's comfort in this loss of approval if we can surround ourselves with others who feel the same way, and we create the I hate the boss club, or I hate my colleague club. And now we're trapped. We're trapped in the other person's drama because we too have been triggered by an imaginary loss of approval. There's a third trigger, though, that we want to be mindful of. And certainly, if you've ever seen the Blues Brothers, you will remember this car chase and this scene as the Blues Brothers make their way to the county office of Cook County here in Chicago. And there was a lot of loss of control. The police lost control. They lost control of their cars. And by the way, loss of control is the third trigger in terms of sucking us into other people's drama, right? Am I losing control of the situation? If someone around us feels like they're losing control of a situation, that whirlwind may catch us as well. So we want to be sure that we understand that, hey, wait a minute, you're losing control, not me. I'm still in control. And the reality is, what exactly are we really in control of? There's really only one thing we're in control of, and it's ourselves. So we may lose security. We may feel we've lost of approval, or we may feel that we've lost some sense of control. The reality is, these are myths. Because we can control ourselves. We can make choices. And that's the key to the whole thing, is recognizing that I can make a choice about, is it really my loss of control or is it someone else's? And they're feeling this. Now, empathy would say we want to help them. But first we have to recognize what happens when we get pulled into other people's drama, and where are they inside the drama themselves? So the trigger happens and we go to a place that is not particularly productive. It's really an ego state. And then three predictable characters tend to show up. So let's start with the first one. The first character that shows up when we feel a sense of being pulled into somebody else's drama is the villain. Remember a moment ago, I talked about approval, and I said, we create sort of the I hate the colleague club. Well, that would be villain behavior. Because what are the aspects of the villain when we get into drama? Well, villains are all about blaming others, heaping misery upon other people through the use of blame, or in the case of these four characters from Batman, heaping misery in all sorts of ways on Gotham City and its people, right? So as we think about when we're triggered, loss of security, approval, or control, we recognize that a predictable place that people will go is villain. And by the way, villains love comfortable, or they love company. There's a reason why I didn't put just one single villain on this slide. I put in four villains because villains like to surround themselves with other villains, which is why we create these clubs, the I hate my colleague club, or I hate the boss club, or pick one. Villains look for other villains to surround themselves with. So they pull you into their drama. It's a trap. Don't go there. So the villain is a predictable persona. Another predictable persona is the victim, where we are all drawn into somebody's drama and woe is me. Misery loves company. We've all heard that expression, misery loves company, right? And just recognize that that company happens to be, let's surround ourselves with other people who feel like victims just like we do. Don't let yourself go down the path. We'll come to that in a moment. Recognizing that they got triggered doesn't mean you have to get triggered. They went to victim. It doesn't mean you have to go to victim. But that's exactly where they would like you to go, is to commiserate with them on how bad things are and how we have no control. Victims have no control. Victims relinquish their responsibility. You don't need to do that. You can make a different choice. So we have villains, we have victims, and oh yes, we have heroes. Now you may be scratching your head on this little visual here, because you may say, well, the dude, and this is the dude from The Big Lebowski. Great movie if you haven't watched it, by the way. And why did I put the dude in as the hero? Because you might say, well, why don't you pick Batman or Superman or somebody else? Well, I picked the dude because the dude is a very unlikely hero, in that heroes that are in drama are reluctant heroes. And the dude was a very reluctant hero. He was just wanted to go on and do his thing. And yet he got drawn into this situation and then felt like he had to rescue someone who, quite frankly, didn't need rescuing. And therein lies the hero's state of mind. It's going in to solve other people's problems for them uninvited. So you may find that somebody is in victim or villain, and you decide, I'm going to go with them in their drama, and I'm going to be the hero, and I'm going to save them from themselves. Remember, it's not your drama. It's theirs. They have to work their way through it. Now, there are alternatives to this, and we'll come to that in a moment, but recognize that if you go to hero to save them from their drama, you are now in their drama. Not a productive place to be, by the way. So as we think about this, and as Yogi Berra used to say, you come to a fork in the road, take it. Well, what exactly is the fork in the road? The fork in the road is to recognize that you have choice. I can have empathy for someone's drama, but like this character in Father Stu, I had a choice. I can go to prison or I can serve a higher purpose. We would suggest it's probably better, rather than going to prison, which would be in their drama, you actually can serve a higher purpose, which is having empathy for their plight and yet not getting caught up in their plight and helping them by not getting caught, by serving a greater purpose, helping see a bigger picture, helping people see another way. If you're helping people see another way, then you're not caught in their drama. You're actually taking a little trip. And what's the trip that you're on? The trip that you're on is to the balcony. So why do we talk about this? And we talk about this when we talk about emotional intelligence. Is one way not to get triggered and to go with them into drama is to take a trip to the balcony. We do this in our minds where we actually say, well, I have empathy for this individual. I can feel what they feel. And yet I'm not going to get caught up in victim, villain, or hero. I'm actually going to go to the balcony and go, well, what is the trigger? Loss of security, approval, or control? And can I give them a different perspective? That would not be uninvited heroing. That actually is a way through a different choice to serve a higher purpose. So the balcony view allows us to look down at the stage and see who's acting and go, yeah, I don't need to be in their drama, but I might be able to help them be better and get out of their drama if I make the choice to stay in the balcony, to stay out of their drama, and to put on a different mask, to wear a different face. So what are those choices that we have? Well, just like there's the choice to go to villain, there is also the choice that you can take to actually go to the challenger. And if you recall, the whole idea behind Officer and a Gentleman was, Louis Gossett Jr. was the challenger to those trying to learn to be better than who they were. And so what is the difference between the challenger and the villain? The challenger is not about blaming. The challenger is about a higher purpose. Enough supportive pressure to bring forward something new from the individual who's maybe struggling in drama. So we can experience things, we can learn things, and we can challenge others as a catalyst for learning rather than a villain for blaming. Challengers have the courage to be with their own discomfort as well as the discomfort of others. Imagine allowing that awkward pause to stay for a while. Many of us want to fill that pause. Challengers recognize that the pause could serve a purpose. And sometimes it's good to let someone actually stop and think about what we are challenging them with. And a pause can be a powerful tool. But I have to get comfortable with discomfort. So what are some of the attributes, for example, of the challenger persona? This is the choice that we make to use our higher self as opposed to our egoic self, which would be the villain. Well, the attributes of the challenger is a person who questions my own beliefs and judgments, recognizing from the balcony that I'm not caught in someone else's drama. I can do it differently. They understand the receptivity of someone being challenged. Remember, there's always a time and a place to challenge. Challenger may not be the strategy for that moment in time. Maybe it's just empathy, but it's empathy not from an egoic state, right? Creating the I hate so-and-so club, but actually empathy from, can we look at this differently? And I get how you feel. I understand that. I've been there. So they understand receptivity and they use the event of the situation as a catalyst for learning rather than a catalyst for blaming. Learning, positive, higher purpose. Blaming, egoic, not particularly useful. Challengers are okay with pushing, challenging, and calling out people's behavior, recognizing they may get resistance. But to be that challenger, you are being the opposite of the villain. You're actually creating something powerful, a learning opportunity. And you have to be okay with the discomfort or the debate or the pushback you may get at that moment in time. But challengers, like Louis Gossett Jr. and An Officer and Gentleman, they don't back down. So that's one choice that you have, is to go to the challenger persona. You can go to the creator persona, and I'm sure many of you know who this is, one of the greatest creators in the movie industry, Steven Spielberg. And the way he has shifted all sorts of technology in the industry is incredibly powerful. Well, what does the creator do that is different, for example, from the victim, who's sort of the anti-creator? The creators take responsibility to build a different vision of success. So the way they challenge, or the way they help someone see another avenue rather than being stuck in drama, is they can empathize, but they can say, there may be another way. And what exactly do you want to get from this situation? A creator is vision focused. They're passion. They're motivated to help someone move beyond the limitations that a victim will have. So they get really curious and they apply curiosity in ways that maybe the person who is suffering as a victim can't see. So what are the attributes of the creator? They're committed steadfastly to helping someone achieve something beyond the limitations of the victim. And they can do this through questioning, through visioning, through a whole variety of techniques. They use the energy for creation rather than for drama. So let's take all that negative energy of drama and let's flip it and help somebody create something new out of maybe a circumstance that isn't exactly positive at that moment in time. They recognize that this takes time. This isn't something that is one conversation. And they also, in our vernacular, they hold their story lightly. Creators recognize they don't have to be right. They just have to open up possibilities. So they may go to the balcony in the face of fear or frustration and look down and go, wow, what was the trigger? Was it security, approval, or control? Is there another possibility to that trigger that you haven't seen? So the creator is the antithesis of the victim. And there's one more personality that you can choose to take on, and this is the role of the coach. Just like Mr. Miyagi helped Daniel be a better person, be a better self. If I'm caught in someone's drama as the hero and I'm trying to fix them, right, or solve it for them, that's not necessarily useful. And as we know from this particular film, Mr. Miyagi gave Daniel choice. And he used techniques, and this is the idea of the coach, Socratic coaching. He used ideas of techniques that could be applied to other situations. Wax on, wax off, sand the floor, right? All sorts of ways that these movements could be used as a way for the individual, in this case, Daniel, to defend and protect himself and to be a better person. So the coach supports others in taking ownership through facilitative questioning, guiding, encouraging, challenging when appropriate, using the creator when appropriate. But recognize the role of the coach is focused on present learning and future creation. So what is the trigger? What got you afraid? Whenever I'm coaching a leader who is working out of drama, I'll usually ask them, well, what were you afraid of? This, by the way, the coach is one of my favorite personas to choose, rather than going with them to the drama, staying with them in their higher self. So full engagement in all three personality types, the challenger, the creator, and the coach, is the opposite choice, right? That's the choice in Father Stu, for example, that Mark Wahlberg had to make. And actually serving something higher than yourself, serving the other individual in a way that gets them to see things differently. So now you have a choice. You can be Bones McCoy, drama. Oh, everything is terrible. We're going to die. This is all going to come unglued. Not a particularly great choice. You can be Spock and be disassociated with any sort of form of emotion. That may not be the best choice. It'll certainly keep you out of drama. Or, and you knew this was coming, you could be Captain Kirk and make the best choice for yourself and for the other individual by picking one of those three personas: the challenger, the creator, or the coach. Well, I've hoped you enjoyed this little aspect of make a choice to stay out of other people's drama simply by recognizing when you are sucked down into it. Be Kirk. Don't be Spock or McCoy. Make a different choice. Thanks for joining us. If you'd like to get a recording of this, please go to our website. You can also go and reach out to Laura, and she will give you a recording as well. Come and hear our next Hit It and Quit It webinar on May 19th, where Brian and Liz are going to talk about arranged marriages. And you're probably wondering what that's all about. Well, if you're wondering about what that's all about, come and join us, because it has a lot to do with what's going on in our industry right now: mergers, acquisitions, and private equity transactions, arranged marriages. Thanks. Have a great weekend.